This presentation on the legal requirements and expectations for student safety is brought to you by the Human Resources Department, the Fairbanks North Star Borough School District. The goal of this presentation is to provide employees with an understanding of their role in providing a safe place for students to learn, in creating a positive workplace for staff members, and in providing an environment of trust and support for staff, students, and community members. The mission of the Fairbanks North Star Borough School District is to provide an excellent and equitable education in a safe, supportive environment so all students can become productive members of a diverse and changing society. An email is sent yearly from the Executive Director of Human Resources with information on legal requirements and expectations for student safety. This information can also be found on the district website on the Labor Relations page. This presentation outlines your responsibility as it relates to this information. The first part of this annual email includes the following school board policies and administrative regulations: non-discrimination, harassment, sexual harassment, corporal punishment, reporting child abuse and neglect, staff reports, ethical and professional conduct, Aaron's policy for a child sexual abuse prevention and education program, and gender identity. These policies and administrative regulations define how the district views these topics and outlines your responsibilities as a district employee, not only in dealing with students, but also the professional expectations we have for all employees when dealing with other staff members and members of the public. The next section of the email includes information regarding staff and student boundaries, including FAA statement on student discipline. This section will be covered in depth in this presentation. The final section relates to the Professional Teaching Practices Commission's Code of Ethics. While this information pertains to certified staff, the ethical standards that fulfill a teacher's obligations to students are the same standards that the district expects for all staff when dealing with students. It is the expectation that all district staff follow and comply with all of the information in the student safety packet that is issued each year. You will be held responsible for the information contained within this packet if by chance some type of violation occurs. Not having read the information is not considered a valid justification. What exactly are staff and student boundaries? These are the specific expectations that define your role as the adult in all situations. Schools are places where all staff can have a significant influence on a student's life. The relationship between an adult staff member and the student is characterized by differing roles and an imbalance of power based on a number of factors, including age, authority, and gender. Each staff member is responsible for maintaining a professional role with students. This means establishing clear professional boundaries with students that serve to protect everyone from misunderstandings or violation of the professional relationship between staff members and students. What are inappropriate interactions? Inappropriate interactions are ones that cross the boundaries that keep students separate from adults and creates a relationship that becomes peer-to-peer rather than adult-to-child. A teacher or other staff member who has poor boundaries not only reduces his or her effectiveness as an instructor, but puts him or herself in a situation that is professionally and legally precarious. You can prevent even the merest suggestion of impropriety by maintaining strict professional boundaries. You can still build warm relationships with students without placing them or yourself at risk. What are appropriate interactions? Appropriate interactions are ones that create a safe environment in which students may grow, learn, seek help in solving problems and conflicts, and develop social skills. An appropriate, safe environment is one that maintains just, courteous, and proper relationships with students, promotes good communication between students, parents, and teachers through approved communication tools, maintains classroom discipline to promote a cohesive learning environment, and makes the well-being of students the fundamental value of all decision-making and actions. Touch is a boundary that must be observed in all aspects of life. While it is often difficult to avoid touch when working with children in grades K through 2, touching older students can become problematic. Some students might feel uncomfortable and report the touch as being inappropriate, opening you up to charges of sexual harassment or abuse. To avoid such accusations, with the exception of handshakes, fist bumps, and high fives, avoid touching students. Remember, never touch a student during discipline. Refer to Article 518, Classroom Safety, of your FAA contract for more information. Always keep your conversations on a professional level. This means completely refraining from profanity, suggestive humor, and overly personal discussions with students. Avoid sending personal notes to the students that contain a very personal message. An example of an inappropriate note to a student would be, "Hey, I saw you at the game on Friday night. You looked amazing in that outfit you were wearing." Examples of appropriate personal notes include thank you notes and notes related to their academic work. Also consider how you are communicating with students. Avoid communication that is outside approved district methods. If you become aware that one of your students has a problem, refer him or her to the school counselor who is trained to handle difficult situations. Keep in mind that troubled students can draw you into professionally sticky situations, especially if you are attempting to counsel them on sexual or romantic matters. Staff members should be cautious about connecting with students via social media. Teachers across the nation have come under scrutiny for their interactions with students in this manner. Our district offers a variety of ways to interact with students in order to provide transparency between staff, students, and parents. These include PowerSchool, using your district email, via Google Drive, or through Canvas. Use of applications such as FaceTime, Facebook, iMessaging, Twitter, Instagram, etc. are not recommended. Oftentimes, where there are boundary issues between staff and student, social media is one avenue that is identified as where the lines between the adult and student have been blurred. There are few, if any, situations where you should be using social media to communicate with students. School teachers, administrative staff members, practitioners of healing arts, child care providers, and others are required by law to report suspected child abuse or neglect when they have a reasonable cause to suspect it has resulted in harm to a child. This obligation is an individual's legal duty. Reports of child abuse and neglect must be made to the Office of Children's Services. Grooming is a method of building trust with a child and adults around the child in an effort to gain access to and time alone with that child. The offender may assume a caring role, befriend the child, or even exploit their position of trust and authority to groom the child and/or the child's family. These individuals intentionally build relationships with the adults around a child or seek out a child who may have fewer adults in his or her life. This increases the likelihood that the offender's time with the child is welcomed and encouraged. The purpose of grooming is to manipulate the perceptions of other adults around the child and to manipulate the child into becoming a cooperating participant, which reduces the likelihood of a disclosure and increases the likelihood that the child will repeatedly return to the offender. What do you do if you suspect an adult of grooming? If you suspect that a student is being groomed by a staff member or other adult in the child's life, you should discuss your suspicions with your supervisor, report the grooming to the Office of Children's Services, and always err on the side of the child. Remember, if you are a mandated reporter, you must report any suspected abuse or neglect within 24 hours. Remember, it is your responsibility to abide by all school board policies and administrative regulations. Questions regarding your responsibilities on any of the topics discussed in this presentation can be directed to your building administrator, supervisor, or the Human Resources Department.